Well, hello. Happy Easter to everybody. I decided to talk today about a book that I've talked about a couple of times, but I don't think I really delved into it as much as I would have liked to. I only read a short section of it each time, but today I'm going to read the book in its entirety because people have been telling me they are delayed getting shipments of it, and I don't know, I think it's the right time to present this book because it's kind of a bright and happy, hopeful book. It's a homey kind of theme, and we're all homey now, and whatever we can find to make our homes better places to be and happier places to be, we go for it. So it's a cozy kind of atmosphere story. It's a warm, pastel colored story, which we all want to be in our bubble. Warm, secure, pastel colors. Those are the happy, warm feelings. So the name of the book is Mrs. Clohiggley's Clutter. And I'm Geraldine Ryan Lush. I wrote this book and illustrated it. It's a story of a woman who loved to collect until one day her collection got her in trouble. The book is published by Mulberry Books. It's dedicated to my grandchildren, Lila and Riley. It's in black and white, plus color. This is the black and white version. This is the color version, which I'm sure most people will go for, although the black and white has its artistic qualities as well. This is the color. There's loads of pictures in there. There's probably about 40 plus for sure, if not more, pictures in this book. So there's a lot of text and a lot of pictures. And it's very appealing to children of all ages, as well as grown-ups, aunties, grandmothers, etc., etc. Everybody seems to love this book. So it has certainly made its appeal and touched a lot of people. It struck a chord with a lot of people. So anyway, I'm going to read, hopefully, the entirety of this book. And I hope you enjoy. And here is Mrs. Clohiggley. Here's the copyright page with the dedication. Mrs. Clohiggley loved her clutter. She had clutter coming from her walls and ceilings. She had clutter dangling from tops of cupboards. She had clutter curling out of open bureau drawers. This is Mrs. Clohiggley's sitting room. So cozy. And here's some of her clutter in her makeup drawers and her stash of clothes, all her little things she liked to have, like any woman does. And her jewelry. All her jewelry, some of her jewelry is here too. She had clutter clattering in her sinks. She had clutter covering all her lampshades and flower pots and curtain rods and picture frames. Sometimes she painted pictures of her clutter and gave them away. Everyone wanted a still life. She was an artist. She was a hobby artist. Mrs. Clohiggley was a hobby artist. So she painted pictures of all the things she collected when she went shopping to all kinds of sales and antique shops, etc. And then she would paint pictures of these objects, some of them precious objects, and she would give her pictures away to charity, etc. She was a very kind lady. So that's one of her still lifes there. that she painted and donated, gave away. And a memory of a trip to Vegas. When she took trips, she took pictures, and she painted some of her pictures, and she gave them away too. Here's another one there. Her still life that she painted. And they loved her Diamond Point Indiana Flash. Mrs. C couldn't get enough books. She had a lovely bookcase. It's her little haunt that she liked to relax in. Isn't it lovely for this time now with what's going on in the world, to be sitting down relaxing in a place like that? What better place to let it all just drift away from you than in a cozy book nook? And she loved sketching little tables for her friends. Her Southern Belles struck a striking pose. These are some of the dolls she collected. She painted pictures of those too. Southern Belles. And when she couldn't find enough room for her jewelry and baubles, she draped them on the walls of her bedroom with pushpins. She hung up her jewelry on the walls of her bedroom with pushpins. All the better to see them with, she smiled, as she hung each one over a pushpin and went to look for still more clutter. Mrs. Clohiggley had clutter coming out of everything except her ears. And if she had the room, she would have clutter coming out of her ears too. So here she's having a bit of fun with some of her jewelry and her necklaces and hats and everything. And as you can see, Mrs. Clohiggley loved hats. It didn't start out that way. Mrs. Clohiggley didn't always have clutter. She loved her nice, spacious, minimalist apartment when she moved in. But one day, the superintendent knocked on her door. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Clohiggley," he said, "but there are new rules. No pets allowed." So Mrs. Clohiggley had to give away her Pandora poodles she had for 10 years. Oh, her little doggies. She had to give them away. She didn't just give them away to anybody. She gave them away to trusted people who she knew would love them as much as she did. Oh, little doggies. She had to give away her bad budgies too, because they chattered and sang so loudly to each other. The neighbor who worked night shift downstairs complained. This made her so mad, so sad, that she went out and bought a brand new recliner that she could sit in and listen to calming music while she looked at pictures of her Pandora poodles and bad budgies that she had for 10 years. She loved her budgie birds singing, but one of her neighbors complained about her budgies singing, so she had to give the little budgies away too. This made her really very sad. Things couldn't get any worse for Mrs. Clohiggley, but they did. Imelda, her daughter, got fed up teaching in the city and moved to New Zealand for excitement. Mrs. Clohiggley missed her so much. She went out and bought a brand new sofa on which she could stretch her legs while she had her tea, and chatted to Imelda from New Zealand on Skype. But not for long. Imelda soon met a friendly and strapping sheep farmer with an accent to die for, and lo and behold, she got married in the land down under, and Mrs. Clohiggley sure wasn't going to fly 2 days underneath the world to see her for a cup of tea and a chat. Not on your life. Miss Clohiggley wasn't a good flyer anyway, and that would be way too much. So there's her daughter Imelda and her husband in New Zealand. So Mrs. Clohigley looked around her not so spacious, not so minimalist apartment anymore. She had enough chairs, she had enough sofas, she had enough tables and cabinets and bookcases and whatnots. She has a lot of stuff. What Mrs. Clohigley needed now were enough things to put in those tables and cabinets and bookcases and whatnots, and have lots of stimulation, so she wouldn't be lonely without Imelda, who married the man from down under, and Pandora poodles and bad budgies she had to give away. But Mrs. Clohigley wasn't getting any younger, and she needed to look after her money. Then one day a bright new message flashed on her computer screen. 50% off at Magic Village today. The message flashed in bouncy coloured balls and twinkling stars. It's your special day. Oh my, said Mrs. Clohigley, who couldn't believe her eyes. I haven't seen this store before, and 50% off. Too cool. Mrs. Clohigley hadn't known that everything there was gently used and a fraction of store prices anyway. And with 50% off along with that. Oh my. So Mrs. Clohigley got dressed in a nice vibrant outfit with earrings to match. She took a selfie or two or three. Then she got into her economic on gas Kia and drove to the store with the 50% off sign. She stayed for 3 hours with a half-hour break at the lovely coffee shop across the street. She was in browsing heaven. The next day she took off again. More stores, more sales, more treasures. She bought chubby cherub vases. She bought Fenton glass figurines. She bought imperial glass candlewick. She bought Jeanette glass carnival and Diamond Point, Indiana, with casters to match. She bought Wedgwood and Currier and Ives and Waterford crystal, and all for $5 and less. Miss Clohigley filled her cart. She chatted happily with the other customers, but kept a sharp eye out for people she knew, because she was a very proud lady and didn't want people to know she shopped in those, places. Mrs. Clohigley drove happily home with her gas economy Kia and laid down her packages. While she brewed and drank her favourite tea, she lovingly fingered each treasure she had bought so modestly. My, she exclaimed, these are collector's items, and for $5 or $10. Who would have thought? What a place to shop. Then Mrs. Clohigley arranged her treasures in all her cabinets with the glass doors, and lights which shone on them and made them sparkle, and she smiled. How beautiful, she told her jewellery-bedecked walls. How simply beautiful. So she was so happy to get her treasures. That was it for Mrs. Clohigley. She was hooked. She began searching out every garage sale and flea market and auction and boot sale there ever was. She put a lot of gas in her gas economy Kia. She wore a lot of outfits with earrings to match. She was running out of space, but that didn't stop her. The neighbors were whispering behind her back. She was a little odd, they said. They wouldn't help her with her packages anymore. The superintendent would leave notes under her door. He wouldn't come in, he said. He was afraid he'd break a leg tripping in her clutter. Superintendent. And the neighbours kept tittering and gossiping. One day when Miss Clohigley had nowhere to put her clutter except in her fridge, she went to an auction. An enchanting set of Princess Cordelia cottage wear caught her eye. She had to have them. She waved her poster madly and started bidding. A loud man from the back was bidding higher and higher and higher. Mrs. Clohigley was getting irritated. And I'm going to stop here. I'd like to leave some mystery in the story of what happens when this man outbids her and what part he plays in her life. how the story moves on from there, and how she resolves her addiction to thrift stores, which wasn't really a bad thing. She just loved nice things. But other people construed it as a problem, which it really wasn't a problem. Anyway, this person comes into her life, and she has different adventures before the book ends, and this is where I'm going to leave it. So I hope you are interested enough to keep reading it and search it out. It's everywhere. It's in libraries. It's on Amazon. It's at Chapters. It can be ordered. It's not a problem to procure it. I just thought it would be a nice book to read today in the event of with all that's going on in the world. It's a nice cozy book, and I'm quite proud of it, as I am proud of all my books, and this one in particular is really for all audiences. It can be read with your grandchildren. It can be read with your friends. It can be read by itself, and it has really warm, homey pictures, which makes you feel good. So if you like, you can subscribe to me on YouTube. Just hit the subscribe button. I'm not too adept at all the mechanics of YouTube. I can put a video up, but sometimes I don't even know if the subscribe button is working or not. So hopefully it will be. And comment, subscribe, like, whatever. And hope you will check out all my books that are on all the sites. Pretty well everywhere. Just check me out. My name is Geraldine Ryan Lush. I'm on Facebook, author Geraldine Ryan Lush. I'm on Twitter at G Ryan Lush. And my Amazon, I have a profile on Amazon as well, where all my books are. So here's some pictures from the launch of Mrs. Clohigley's Clutter. It has received the Reader's Favourite 5-star award, as you can see by the stickers. Reader's Favourite is an affiliate of the American Library Association, as I pointed out before. These are some pictures from the launch. This is my granddaughter Lila. She is sitting with me at Chapters during the launch of Mrs. Clohigley's Clutter. This is my granddaughter Lila and her dad Barry. She's holding the book, Mrs. Clohigley's Clutter. This is another picture of Lila holding Mrs. Clohigley's Clutter, my granddaughter Lila. This is my son Barry and Lila at the launch of Mrs. Clohigley's Clutter at Chapters, St. John's, Newfoundland. And this is my friend Angela Otto, who is now in Virginia, my very good friend for years. She is sitting right here with me at Chapters at the launch of Mrs. Clohigley's Clutter. So these are some great memories I have of this book when it was published, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much. Take care, and I'll see you soon.